Hello, it's Philately Things. I'm going to work on some first day covers, and I decided that this time I would record it so that you can kind of see my process as I make these covers. I am making these covers for the Made of Hearts stamp, and I have chosen a really simple design that I'm going to make that's based on my cat Orion. He was an excellent model. The stamps are made of hearts. And I wanted to show how you can maybe see hearts in other everyday things. In this case, my cat. It's going to be a very cartoony, very simple design because I'm going to experiment with coloring, and also because I'm recording this and I didn't want to do something super complicated and mess it up. I wanted to keep it simple. I think that a simple design is going to look nice with this kind of simple stamp design as well. So what I'm doing first is I'm sketching out the design, and then I am going to use watercolor to color this first one. Watercolor is a really popular choice for first day covers. A lot of the very famous first day cachet makers, like Dorothy Knapp, they used watercolors. I think it's a popular choice because it is fairly easy, whether you're a beginner or you're more advanced. Um, Watercolor is something that you can pick up. Even if you use just one color, like I'm going to do for this one, uh, you get a lot of gradation and variation depending on how much water you use and how that water moves on the envelope. Typically, it's suggested by first day cachet makers to use an envelope that is mostly made of cotton or a cotton blend. That's just for archival purposes. It will last longer. Also, if you are going to do watercolor, it's going to absorb and hold better than a regular paper envelope. But there's no rule. There's no way that you have to do a first day cachet. You should never feel limited by the supplies you have. If all you have is a regular paper envelope and a crayon and you want to make a first day cover, go for it. Just have fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Now, of course, you can prepare your cachet in advance and take your cachet envelopes to the first day ceremony where the stamps are issued. But if you can't make it to one of the first day ceremonies, you can always mail them in, and that's what I'm going to be doing to get these first day covers serviced. But a fun thing you can do if you can't go to the first day ceremony is that the USPS usually, for a lot of their ceremonies, they videotape it and they'll post it on their social media, on Facebook or Twitter, and you can watch that, and you can even watch the recordings of it. So it's kind of fun to just watch the first day ceremony while you work on the art for your cachet. Now, of course, you can make just one cover, or you can make multiple covers. You can paint each cover individually, but what I like to do is take my first original cachet and scan it, and then print photocopies on the remaining envelopes so I have a set that's all the same. This time I've done something a little different, and I have made a photocopy that is just a black and white without the internal coloring, and I'm going to color each individual envelope using a different medium as an experiment. So to start off, I'm going to make another watercolor. Now, like I said, watercolor is really popular for first day cachet makers. There are some cachet makers who will use this kind of same technique of printing the outline on every envelope, but then they will individually watercolor each cachet, and that makes each piece a little bit of an original. So for the second one, I'm going to use an acrylic paint. The acrylic paint I'm going to use is going to be this light pink, which I really like this color. And if you have not worked with acrylics before, it's a type of paint that dries pretty quickly, and it dries in a nice, thick, kind of even way. The downside is that if you're not used to it, it is kind of difficult to blend compared to some other paints because it dries so fast. Since acrylic paints are pretty opaque, I'm going to go ahead and take a pen and kind of fix up these lines where I've accidentally painted over them. So for this next cover, I'm going to use a colored pencil. There are quite a few first day cachet makers, I think, that use colored pencil. It's a nice, easy type of art to work with because you don't spill pencil like you can paint, and they're very easily accessible and pretty easy to use. You can get some nice shades by how hard you press, if you press hard or lightly. I like to use a blending tool. It's basically just some paper that's rolled together very, very, very tightly, and you can use that in place of your finger to just kind of rub it over the pencil and blend it in. Obviously, blending is more important if you have more than one color, but I just think it makes the colored pencil look a lot smoother. Now this cachet I'm going to color with a crayon. I know that crayons are kind of seen more as a childish art medium because they're used a lot by elementary school students, but I kind of want to show that you can use any medium to make beautiful artwork. And also because I want to encourage kids to make cachets. The American First Day Cover Society has a cachet makers contest, and it has a youth division. Go ahead, have kids make cachets. Now this one really is an experiment. I am going to try to use stamping ink to stamp my First Day cachet. I have this ink for like rubber stamps. I tried to gather up some cotton, some rubber stamps that I could maybe use to put the ink on this design. Unfortunately, it did not come out very well. It came out very, very messy. But mistakes are fine too. Not everything has to be perfect. Now this one I wanted to use markers, but I don't actually have markers, so I'm using a highlighter. Again, you can use whatever you have around to make your own first day cover cachet. There is no limit, there are no rules. So now I am going to use ink pens, and I am just going to do some cross-hatching with this. Cross-hatching is a kind of art that I think is pretty relaxing and pretty fun to do. Another fun thing about pen ink cross-hatching is that it kind of reminds me of the lines in engraved stamps, so it kind of has this throwback appeal. Now here's something I've never tried before. I'm going to color this one with stamp art. The APS has been publishing a lot about stamp art, about artists who use stamps and they cut them or paste them in ways that they can make these beautiful collages. This is something I've never done before. This is going to be my first time trying it, and I am really excited. I'm going to be using the very made of heart stamp that is going to be first day canceled on this envelope. Now, these are uncanceled forever stamps, and I don't want to use too many of them because I would like to use them on mail. So I'm also going to use the selvage. Now, unfortunately, my camera ran out of battery here and I didn't notice, so you don't get to see me finishing this design up. It also didn't record my painting the very last cachet, which was just another watercolor. Now, here is a look at all 10 finished first day cover cachets. I think they all came out pretty good, so now I just have to prepare them to be serviced by the USPS. Now, of course, if you are going to get a first day cancel, you need a stamp to put the cancel on. So I'm going to affix one of these made of heart stamps in the corner of each and every one of these cachet envelopes so that I can send it off to get the cancel. So with all of our first day cachet envelopes appropriately postaged, we are going to get ready to send it off to the Stamp Fulfillment Center. I'm going to be putting it in one of these large priority mail envelopes, and all you need to do is address it to the Stamp Fulfillment Services in Kansas City. If you are looking for the address of the Stamp Fulfillment Center, it is available on the USPS website, and it's also very easy to find on the American First Day Cover Society website. Now you might be wondering, once you've sent off your stamps to get their cancels, how do you get them back? Well, one way is to send with the covers a self-addressed prepaid envelope that the Stamp Fulfillment Center can use to mail the covers back to you. Make sure that you have the correct postage on this envelope so that it gets to you quickly. But another way is you can just address each envelope that you send individually, and then these envelopes will be mailed back to you, so you can address them to anywhere that the postage pays for. You can address them to yourself, you can address them to friends, or even to other collectors. A lot of collectors don't like to have their addresses on the envelope because it takes away from the cachet design, or because it makes it harder to pass it on to someone else if it has somebody else's name on it. So if you are going to do it this way, I would suggest that you write lightly with a pencil or use a removable address label. And once you're done with that, just seal up the package and mail it out. Thank you for joining me as I make these first day covers, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it inspires you to make some first day covers of your own.